Yo, what's going down? It's Bliss.
What's poppin', IMSO?
And you are watching Take Flight.
Hey, yo, what's good? It's your boy Wings. You're tapped in with Take Flight today. Big album dropping. Bliss and Esso in the building. OG's out here. Appreciate you guys joining me.
Hell yeah, bro. Thanks for having us, man.
Hey, also, first time meeting you
Absolute
fellas.
pleasure, mate.
I was just saying, obviously, when you pulled up, like, Take Flight started 2021.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last album you put out,
The song,
right? It was
yeah.
2021.
Yep.
So it's crazy that we're in this position to now link on something like this,
For sure.
bro. And
It's dope.
it's another massive moment for yourselves, right? Every time you release would be.
100%, man. And it's great to see you guys coming up. Like, you know, I'm seeing Take Flight everywhere. So
I appreciate it,
that's
man.
dope, man.
We're just talking about where you guys are from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Bliss, we will go into you in a second because I've got a specific
course.
question.
Yeah.
But yourself, so obviously we're out in Penrith,
Yes.
West Sydney. You came
Yes.
out southwest. What
Mate,
was it like for you out there, bro?
I was born in Penrith.
Okay.
And then moved to the Blue Mountains, but I've moved all over. I've been to 13 different
gypsy.
schools.
Yeah, you're
Not
that
because
guy.
I was a bad boy, but, you know, my mum was moving all over the place.
Okay.
But yeah, I ended up back out Campbelltown way for about bloody 6 years. And bloody hell, I remember being at one of the parties with all the crazy blokes. And I was quite pissed, and I remember going, oh, I just want to make a toast. Hold on, he's making a toast. Hold on. Listen, I was born in Penrith. Yeah. And then I moved to the North Shore. But I'm back in Seatown. Hooray! And I promise to be the best Westie ever! And it was cheers and beer frothing everywhere. But it gets too crazy out there, so I had to...
We need footage of that. There's no footage.
I
of
know
that.
there's no footage.
Too long ago?
God, it'd be good.
Oh, bro, what a time. So you've really been around everywhere, right?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
And so now I'm up kind of Byron Bay way, near the beach.
Can't complain
smooth, calm.
in the slightest, bro.
Yeah.
Bliss, as I said, got a specific question for you to kick this off, right?
Yeah.
Look, I want to take it all the way back before I kick this off, right? Like, the craziest thing about just doing a quick little dive into you guys is there's so fucking much information.
It's a big
bro.
story, yeah.
It's too long. Like, I physically could not put anywhere near what I wanted it to in
Yeah.
the chat. Like, it's not possible. If this is a successful chat,
Yeah.
down the track, we're going to have to do a part 2 because,
100%.
like, there's just so many questions I love to ask you about.
Yeah.
You can't, right?
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
But for yourself, what was it like coming from USA to Australia? When did you come, first of all?
I came in high school.
Okay.
So I grew up in DC.
Yeah.
Really influenced with, you know, hip hop culture over there. You know, it was just back in pre-internet days. So it was like
course.
old radio. WPGC was my jam. That was like hip hop on all day. Came over here, first day of high school. I met this guy.
First day.
First day. And like, this was at a time in Australia where hip hop, especially local hip hop, was basically non-existent. Like, you go to a record store and you'd be lucky to find maybe like one Ice Cube record or a Public Enemy record. You know
I
what
could
mean?
only
Like,
imagine that time would have been rock, pop.
it was
going
all
crazy,
rock,
right?
it was all rock and pop. Yeah. So we became friends just through the music. You know what I mean? Like, we just connected through hip hop, and that's kind of how the whole thing started. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was a whole different world out here.
I can only imagine. So again, first day of school or first day of that's what it was. What do you remember what your first thoughts were of each other back then?
It's funny, man. I always say like it's an unconventional friendship because Maka was like the popular cool kid in school, very funny, charismatic, and I was more of like the nerd kind of like get shit done kind of like, you know, studious vibe. You know what I mean?
But he was mad creative.
Yeah.
Because even like it was the year 12, you know, art thing that you had to do, and he had done. He would take pictures, you know, with his camera of us near train tracks and stuff, and he went and drew a whole photo of me on a huge fucking canvas. Like it was like I was looking at a picture. Like it was unbelievable, the artwork.
Got an Art Express, like the big like competition for all the high school students. Yeah, and it's actually, if anyone wants to look it up, good piece of history. 1998 Art Express. If you go and find that catalog, there's a picture of Esso.
Oh,
on
we're
train
looking
tracks.
for it, 100%.
Yeah.
We're popping it up right here.
Yeah. It was at the National Gallery and everything. Yeah, but yeah, man, it was an unconventional friendship, but it was hip hop that
That's right.
kind of made us friends. You know what I mean? Because no one else in the school knew what it was or was into it. You know what I mean? And
I think also, you know, at that point in time to even think of trying to do it yourself was unheard of. So if you have someone else that's going to come in and do it with you, it was this safety net with each other. It was like, if I'm going to look like a dickhead, you are too. We'll just look like some dickheads. But
100%.
You know, so
it was like that at high school, man. Like, you know, you imagine this is before Eminem. So like white rappers is like Vanilla Ice or whatever. Like it was not a good look. So we would get made fun of all the time. We didn't give a shit. You know what I mean?
That's what I was going to say. So what was it like for people finding out that not only were you hip hop fans, but you were like ready to give this a go yourself?
Yeah, well, it was a slow process because it was like it started off. I'm gonna tell you the story.
Yeah.
This is how it basically started. I lied to him. I came over and this was, you remember that song, Everybody Dance Now, CNC Music Factory, right? That was a big hit when I came over from the States, but I hadn't really hit Australia yet, and I knew the shit word for word. And and one day at school, I spat him the rhyme from the MC, and I told him
I can rap. I was like, come on, man, spit something.
I spat it perfect word to word, like rapid fire. And I was like, yo, I wrote that shit. He was like, bullshit. and he went home that night, and he wrote his own rap. And he came back the next day, and he busted it for me, and I was like, this motherfucker, I lied to him, and he's done it, written a rap, and it's dope. Damn. So I was like, oh, fuck this. So I went home that night, and I wrote my own rap, my real rap. And that's kind of how it started. It started off basically like just bullshitting each other into it.
Whatever it takes, right?
Yeah. And then next thing you know, like we started early, like cassette tape recording. I don't know if you remember the boom boxes.
Of course.
So the old boom boxes, when you put a cassette in, you press record, one of the speakers would become a mic. Okay. So we had no idea how to make beats or how to record. So we were using this primitive method of basically going through because it was it was very hard to find hip hop. So we go to the markets, right? And we would try and find CD singles of any hip hop, because on the single they would have the instrumental.
Yes, I remember that.
So we get two boom boxes and we put the instrumental of a hip hop single in one boom box, playing out of it. On the other boom box, we would have the cassette tape, press record, and then the mic would be the speaker. So we'd put our head in the middle of the two boom boxes. Yeah, dude. And the instrumentals coming out here, we'd rap in the middle, and it would record the demo. And then for the overdubs, we'd take the first cassette out, put it in the second, like play that and do the overdub. So it was like, by the time it was like sounded like trash by the time.
Of course.
But it was like, that was the first album we made.
There was also tapes you couldn't record on. So you had to grab little tiny bits of paper and shove it into the top of the cassette so you could record over it.
Why couldn't you record it? It's like that's how they
it was
made
just
the
weird.
tape.
So like when you don't want to like record over, you take that little plastic bit out.
Yes,
there was like a little sensor that could tell, so it wouldn't dub over it. So if it was taken out, you had to shove the
and he was always about quality.
Yeah.
So he got these cassette tapes that were real nice. He's like, now listen, we can't fuck up on this, okay? Yeah. We can't record and then rewind and record over it. It's going to be bad quality.
Yeah. So at what age were you when, was this still high school?
This is probably high school. 13, 14, something like that, yeah.
So when you had this next up, so was that, the way you're talking, was that like your first mixtape EP time?
Yeah, it was, no. So this was stuff that we had started, like, this was over other people's beats.
Of course.
Just like, so we never released any of this stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we basically, his dad bought him a beat, like a really kind of cheesy beat machine called a Groove Box back in the day. And we didn't know how the hell to figure it. It was like all MIDI and like quantized and all this stuff we didn't understand. And we gave it to a friend of ours who was a drummer. And we were like, dude, can you figure this out for us? And he made one of the first beats with it. And that's when we went to a studio for the first time and laid down like a rap on it. We were originally called Bliss and Blaze. He was Blaze. Yeah, bro.
Right? Blaze makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Until my mate came up to me and goes, bro, you stole that. I was like, no, I didn't steal it. He's like, Johnny Blaze, Method Man.
Yeah.
I'm like, God damn it. And he was like, no one wants another Method Man. There's already one. You got to be original.
So where did Esso come from? I'm sure
it came from the word esoteric.
Correct.
And it was my dad talking about. It was like lights on in the room, and it was kind of like hurting the eyes. And he was like, "Oh, they're esoteric lights. You need some glasses to be able to take in that light."
Plumber on the other side of the road.
Yeah, or two mechanics working on the other side of the road. When you look at their conversation, they're having an esoterical conversation until you walk over to them and ask them what they're talking about, and then you're part of it. So it's like a secret group, a secret knowledge of information.
If you're initiated, you know.
Yeah.
So so it's Bliss, Esoteric, and DJ-ism.
Correct.
So the full name is Bliss and Esotericism. So the idea is it's the bliss we get from the esoteric world of hip hop.
But no one could say the bloody name.
Yeah.
I love your group, Bliss and Nigger Testicles. Bliss and Ezra Wrestle till I'm like, fuck Bliss and Esso, mate.
Yeah.
Did you just cut it down straight away?
I took the first EP we put out was still under Bliss and Esotericism. Okay. Yeah, and then after that, it was too much of a tongue twister. So like, let's just shorten it to Bliss and Esso.
Everything happens for a reason, right?
Yeah.
What a great idea to do so. Well, in speaking of that, going from recording yourself into a boombox, which is crazy. I love to hear it, by the way, because look, there's not many people out here like that. I could have these kind of conversations with, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The factories have lasted. Anyway, that's down the track.
Yeah.
Around the 2000 first EP mixtape, whatever it was it an EP mixtape? Do you remember?
The first real release was the EP in 2000.
That was the EP
called The Arrival. Yeah.
So take us through then going from recording into a boombox to now recording for this EP, and more importantly, how you were distributing it at the time. Because obviously now, we got Spotify, got everything else. I've been through different periods in life, but what was it like for you at that point?
It was hard. So I had to figure out how are we going to get this out, and I found there was a group called Pulling Strings from Adelaide who was dealing with the Hilltop Hood stuff, and this was before Hilltop Hoods had signed with Obese, so this is like back in the day. And it was pretty much the only Australian hip hop distribution company. And I'm talking like, they might send like 3 records to one store, 3 records to another. Like it was only small numbers, right? We only pressed originally 500 CDs of our original EP. And if anyone's got any out there, it's a full blown collector's item. They go for like thousands on eBay. It's crazy.
Hectic.
Yeah, but so that was how we did it. We hooked up with Pulling Strings because we needed a mechanism to get it out in the stores.
Of course.
But on top of that, we were on the mad hustle. So we created one of the first mixtapes, and we made them on my like 2-speed CD burner. You remember those? So like every CD would take 35 minutes, right? And then we would get like the photocopy piece of paper that would be the cover that we'd fold up, and we'd make these homemade like mixtapes, and we would go everywhere. Just
give them out free.
Yeah,
give it to the people.
Yeah,
we went to Westfield and I think we came out to Westfield and Penrith.
Yeah, we probably did.
We came everywhere, and we went into every shop, just going, here's some music to play in your store. And if they were like, if it's hip hop and it's got swearing, we don't want it. And we had clean versions.
Yeah.
We bleeped it out.
Thought about it, yeah.
So then when we started getting a few of our first gigs, like supporting people and stuff, like we would roll up to the show with like 500 of these homemade things that would take us a week to make, you know what I mean? And we would literally throw them out to everybody in the front row, you know what I mean? That's how we built the following through the grassroots. You know?
I love that hustle too, bro, because I remember these eras, right? Maybe not watching it here, but even thinking about the American mixtape era, and even like you go over there now, or I haven't been for like 5 years, 6 years, but the people are still on the streets, obviously trying to hustle people, but like it's crazy to see like that was all you had back then, right? Yeah. And what I find crazier is like, people complain about Spotify's too many songs, it's too hard. Bro, that shit is not easy either.
Bro,
that's right.
You know what I mean?
It's a whole, the paradigm has shifted because back in the day, there's 2 sides of it. Yes, there wasn't a lot of competition back in the day, but there was no internet. So it was mad hard to get out there and build. Now, the flip side is anyone can record a dope track in their bedroom with all the tools they got. They can distribute it straight to the internet, but the competition is huge.
That's right.
So it's that flip side. So it's still a grind either way. Right?
Yeah, it's just a difference.
It's a difference.
100%, bro. Look, moving forward, we've got to fast forward this one. So much of all this information, bro. A few years later, you dropped your first album with Obese.
Flowers on the Pavement.
Yep. What was it like working with them on this project? Because at that point, had they already released a few big tracks?
They had,
right?
So they had already released the first Hood's really big record, which had the Nosebleed on it. And I remember we had just signed. I remember being on the phone to Pegs, who owned Obese, and I was like, yo, dude, like, please put us on, you know what I mean? Like, we need to, we'll do any kind of deal. We just want to get the record out. And he was like, he really liked us. And he was like, yo, dude, I'm gonna make something happen. And they had the first big Australian hip hop show, which was called the Obese Block Party. It was the first. They sold 2,000 tickets at a venue that doesn't exist in Melbourne anymore, and it was that number of people coming to a show for Australian hip hop was unheard of.
Okay.
This was the biggest show in history at that point. The Hoods were headlining it. They had all their acts on their group. It was like 20 acts, right? And because we had just signed, I had to hustle. I was like, Pegs, I know you already sold the tickets. I was like, please put us on. We'll play first. And we ended up, it was like, cool, I'll put you on. I got no money to pay you. I'll fly you down. That's it. I was like, dude, we're in. So we had to go on cold, like, crowd's still walking in. And we ripped it. We came out because we were all about like practicing the art form. You know what I mean? We spent hours rehearsing to like a brick wall in DJ Ism's apartment. Like we took it real serious. We came out and we smashed it, and there was a chick there called Bianca who worked for Obese, and she was kind of the guts of the whole machine. She made everything happen, and she saw us, and she's like, there's something about these guys. I want to work with these guys. So she came on board and really took us under her wing and really helped to like blow us up from that first album.
That is hectic, bro.
Yeah.
All right. So from the start, they had a good push for you guys because of. And would it have been like this energy they seen live? Was it the connect prior, or was it just everything?
Yeah, it was.
It's definitely the live aspect because we always thought we were going to be a studio group, but it ended up turning out the other way. We were doing live shows, and that's kind of how we got our fan base. Is we were doing live shows in rural places. We were going out to fucking
driving in a hatchback,
sleeping on couches, on buses.
And some of the first shows were in Katoomba, just around the corner
there you
here.
Go, yeah. Katoomba had a good little hip hop scene going on for a while. Even like I remember, like 12, maybe even 12 years ago, there was still like a lot happening out there. But obviously, a bit quiet now. I think so. Yeah,
but so we built it from the ground up, like literally driving all these places, shaking everyone's hands, taking photos, and built every fan one by one. So by the time that we had done the block party, we had already established like a little bit of a buzz from the live shows, you know what I'm saying? And then that was Obese was the next stage that we needed to help. Okay, here's the record, here's the album. Let's get this out. Let's start actually promoting it like a real group. You know what I mean?
I love that, bro. I love that. All right, so on that record though, I did notice a production credit to Suffer.
Yeah.
So there was.
Yeah.
What was it like working with him early on? And then from that, just watching yourselves and the Hoods just flourish over the years, bro. Like what?
So he's actually got 2 beats. He was got a beat on Flowers on the Pavement and on Day of the Dog.
Yeah.
We hooked up because we knew those guys from back in the day. And we're obviously on Obese together, so we knew them.
It was a good session too. We went down to Suffolk.
Yeah.
You still remember this shit clearly, by the way?
Dude, he came picked us up from the airport. We went to a studio, and he's a great producer, man. He had some really dope beats. And he was a real good guy. He was like, yo, the beat's free. Like, he didn't even charge us for it. And I always remember it was like real good times just seeing because we were there before they were who they are now. Like, they were just on that cusp of like really blowing up. And it's so dope to be able to see that and then also see our own rise.
That's right.
And kind of happen at the same time.
Yeah. Do you still keep in contact?
Not so much anymore. I see him around every now and then, where there's award shows or whatever, but it's such a big scene now, you know what I mean? Like, you run into lots of different artists here and there, yeah. But I haven't talked to them in a little while.
No, fair enough, man. Look, although a shitload has changed within Australian hip hop and rap over the years, one thing that remains the same, and that's people's accent debate. In Australia, right? It
was big back in the day.
Yeah, there you go. And that's what I was going to ask. It's an interesting one for yourself because you came from the States to here, right?
Yeah.
So how has it been, or how was it for you even doing your thing out here with the accent, right? Even though this was still, like you said, so early where people weren't really making too much music out here.
That's right. It was a little bit different for us because I was from America.
That's right.
So it made
there was no debate.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what was crazy, because there was this big battle between the two accents, and there was a big group called Battletown, and that was a big movement. And then there was the Australian rappers who were doing it in the natural accent. I always felt like SO was the first MC, is my own personal opinion, first MC from Australia to make the Australian accent cool when rapping. You know what I mean? Like,
this motherfucker.
No, for real. And
love,
I've heard that many fans say the same thing. Like, made it like they feel proud to go, shit, this motherfucker's actually sounded really dope. And he didn't have to like conform to something else.
And that came from, I got to shout out my boy Robin Harefield from high school, because I think for a couple of the first sessions we had, I did rap American, because you got to understand, that's all we heard. You know what I mean? At one point, we thought we were the only ones here doing it.
Yeah.
Doing, like, rapping here?
Dude,
that's right.
They were like, there was, just to interrupt for 1 second, there was no way of knowing. The only way was street press, and there was one record store in Sydney called Next Level Records. I don't know if you remember, in just near George Street. And I remember his mother called me up one day, and she was like, Johnny, turn on SBS. And there was a documentary called, what was it called?
Something equipment, no?
Yeah, Basic Equipment.
Fuck yeah.
That was the first Australian hip hop documentary. It had like Trey and Bones.
Opened our eyes.
Yeah, we were like,
oh,
we're
damn.
not the only ones.
Oh, so you had zero clue.
Bro, we were going to school
Metabase and
thinking we were
Breath,
the only dudes doing it. Because there was no internet. There was no way to connect, right? So we were completely like in the dark, you know?
But yeah, so my mate had said to me, he said, listen, man, if you want to be original, bro, you got to rap in your voice, how you talk. I was like, oh, no, man, no, you know what I mean? And I pushed against it, but then I did it, and it was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
100%.
Because there's originality that just comes from someone talking in their own way of talking.
For sure. You know what's funny? That even back then, like, it's the same story we still hear from artists today.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, how many grew up. I think it'll change over the next few years, but how many artists still grew up starting to rap in an American accent?
Sure.
But now we're seeing so many acts out here,
Yeah.
like, acts that have been around like yourselves for so long, newer acts that are just popping all the time with an Australian accent, that I think these kids are going to
That's
surely
right.
start from the start with it now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
100%, because that groundwork's been laid.
Correct,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
What an interesting story, even for yourself, bro. Back then, again, and over the years, American accents were still coming out here, there, and everywhere in Australia, right? Now we're seeing UK accents, UK slang. Did you, in your time, ever expect that that would be something Australia would be onto next?
It's crazy, the evolution. And it's also...
We were onto it early, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, hell yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like we knew about the UK scene
Oh, hell yeah.
years and years and years ago, decades ago.
Yeah.
Like we were on to Jest, Chester P.
Yeah.
We had
One I found was Maestro and Motley.
Maestro, yeah, Maestro's on
dude.
Dog.
So
Yeah.
we had mad love for that scene early on, and now the whole kind of like trap of it is
Of
like
course.
blowing up.
Did you what was it like over here then at that time when you were getting these artists, the UK artists back then on tracks? Like, what was the reception to the
Couldn't
UK
believe
back
it.
then?
It was like being inspired by an American artist that's like gigantic. We had the same view
Yeah.
of these guys as well. So
Okay.
getting Jest on a track was crazy.
And they were kind of going through their own growth bubble as well. Like probably a little bit more developed than Australian hip hop was at the time.
Yeah.
Because they had probably been in it longer. But it was, they were kind of going through their own, build. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And what was the feedback, I guess, from your followers, your fan base at that time, getting UK accents on your music?
They loved it.
They loved it even back then too.
man.
There we go, man. You've had so many connects with so many different artists over the year, legendary artists in themselves, right? You know, Nas, RZA, Xzibit.
Watch out.
Who else we got? Dizzy Rascal off the top. I'm sure there's a shitload more.
Dizzy
haven't we?
Wright, yeah.
There's a whole. It was a Dizzy Wright.
Dizzy Rascal and Dizzy Wright.
Dizzy Wright too.
Yeah.
I remember Dizzy Wright.
Yeah.
Where did he go, bro? I haven't heard from him.
He's still doing his thing in Las Vegas.
Because he came out here like 3 years in a row with like Hobson and that.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
an independent king out in Vegas,
Yeah?
man. Yeah,
There
bro.
we go.
He's building.
Was there any ever massive collabs that had in the works that just never got across the line? Was there any moments? Because you've had so many already.
Pretty much all of
Made
them.
our dreams come true, I think.
Yeah?
Pretty much all of them got there. Yeah. There was never, nothing ever really like got to the point of like this is gonna happen and then fell through.
Yeah, it just
It was
happened.
because sometimes like you talk about doing a track or whatever, people get busy or whatever,
course.
but nothing ever like that was like okay, I'm going to record a verse and it won't happen for some reason or a label gets involved or anything. It always has happened.
Oh, that's cool, bro. Because
Yeah.
some of these collabs are now iconic, right?
Yeah.
That Nas one, I remember when
Dude.
that came out, and I was like, "What the fuck?" First of all,
I still don't believe it.
I
Top
was like-
five all time,
I was
man.
like,
Like,
"What the
it's-
fuck?"
yeah.
How did that one come about? Or like, what was the moment like? Is there any stories from that moment
Yeah,
in time,
bro.
bro?
Yeah,
You know
so
what I mean?
basically, he got hit up by Live Nation to curate a hip hop festival in Australia.
Okay.
And he was going to perform on it. It was going to tour around, right? And he was like, he wanted to connect with like a big Australian group to kind of be a part of it with him, basically. And he listened to a bunch of artists, and he chose us. And that was crazy in itself. And then when it was all going to go ahead the show, he was like, "Yo, we should do a track." You know what I mean? I can't remember if we suggested it or he suggested it. One of the two.
Someone
And
suggested it.
he-
Yeah.
And he was down, and that's where we sent him the I'm Somebody beat, and it happened. Now the weird thing is, the festival ended up not happening, but the song still happened. So so that's kind of how it happened. And then we went to LA and we shot the video with him, and that was crazy pinch yourself shit. You know what I mean? We're standing on like a rooftop in LA, looking at sunset over LA.
I'm going,
Nas
is he
there.
coming? Is he coming? Is he here yet?
Yeah.
He came in these
Was that what
white...
it was like? Was it kind of like nerve-wracking?
of course.
Because had you had any kind of communication
No.
directly like that?
Not directly, because it was
Yeah.
all through like management and shit.
Of
And just
course.
you get sent a verse from the producer and
Yeah.
everything. That was awesome, bro. We were waiting for weeks. We're like, when was this Nas? Every day our producer
And you
was like,
know that Nas is kind of a slower rhymer. And so we knew by giving him that I Am Somebody beat,
it's pretty
gonna have
fast
to
paced.
pick
there was some
up.
double time there
Yeah.
going on. And he came with it. So that's the coolest flows we had heard Nas on in years.
When he first sent it, it was a moment of suit because we were waiting. We were like, Joe, the verses arrived. You know what I'm saying? Like, and everyone's gathered around in the studio.
Queensbridge!
We put this shit on and we were like screaming. We were like, dude, this dude killed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He killed it. And then so like we're standing on this rooftop in LA with him and he's arriving and it's like, there's certain people, it's like, you don't really get starstruck these days, but like with him, he's like top 5 all time. It's like, dude, that's
There was an aura. There was an aura. White Jordans, white Jordan pants,
all white.
Leather. He had what looked like, what's that? Silence of the Lambs. Right? He had a leather mask going around his face.
Yeah.
And I was
it
like,
was on some gangster shit. It was, yeah.
I was like, oh, he's got to not wear that in the film clip though, because it could be anybody.
We need his face.
You know?
Oh, you knew it was Nas.
But he's I think his manager was like, look, he does a lot of songs. He may not know all the lyrics. So, you know,
smart.
I'm like, run it through.
Yeah.
Play the song.
He got it.
Eventually he took that off and like laid it down. So
Yeah, bro. So was there anything ever else after that? Any other connect with him since that day?
Yeah, we went. I don't know if you were there. I went down and said what up to him at his Sydney show.
Okay,
and he was hella cool. He was actually he's like, where's the studio? Let's hit the studio. You know what I mean? And they ended up having to fly out the next day. But he was like, I couldn't, like, that was another moment. Like, shit, he's like, I'm not expecting him to say like, where's the studio?
Correct.
And But yeah, man. So that was the last time we saw him. Yeah.
What a moment, bro! What a moment for not only yourselves but the country. To be honest, the link up of that like caliber is crazy.
Yeah, man. And it's sometimes you're going to be in the same room as them, or it's going to be distance. So, for instance, RZA was a distance, but Xzibit, you know, he came to the studio, and I just remember. I remember playing the PlayStation, and I remember his car rocking up, and I was like, "Shit, do I stop playing the video game and get up and dap him? Or maybe it's probably cooler just to keep playing the video game and be like, what's up?" And he came in, and I remember he had a jacket on his shoulder and his bag, and I went to give him 5, and it was the clumsiest.
Oh, fuck.
I like kind of slapped his cheek a bit, and we both looked at him and went, fuck it. Yeah. And then when we did a live show with him.
That's my biggest fear, bro.
Dude.
Like this.
But it happened with no one looking, so I was okay.
Yeah.
But then we do a live show with him in Sydney, and we're recording it to do, you know, like a live video version of the song. And he says to me, during the song, come up to me and we'll dap up. I went, you remember what happened last time, X? And he was like, we're going to get it on this one. And it was the best. You heard the pop
Let's go.
on stage, so we fixed it. But it was cool being able to meet
That was
these
dope
guys.
because it was like us all writing in the studio together. So different process, you know.
Yeah, you wouldn't get that too often out here with those kind of guys, right?
That's right. A lot of it's via, email and shit. Yeah. So
When was that?
that was for the Day of the Dog album, so about 2005.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hectic. Did he pull up in a lowrider?
No. I think it was a driver.
Not back there. Not back there.
Yeah.
Bro, that's some good stories that like can go down in history. Is there any other specific collab moments that you can remember that just really stand out?
Maestro. You remember Maestro?
Yeah.
This is a big dude. And I used to record, this is like, we started ghetto. I recorded in my parents' house in my bedroom, and I had my closet converted to the vocal booth. And it was a small closet. Like, you got in this thing, and it was like the mic was in there, I had it all padded out, soundproofed. But I had Maestro trying to squeeze in this thing. Like, he had to bend his neck, and we were like, oh, no, fuck this, we're taking the mic out. That was pretty funny. Yeah. But I mean, dude, there's been so many collabs over the years, man. So, yeah. Jest was another amazing person from the UK to rap with, because to see his process, that's the cool thing as well, seeing different MCs process.
And he was here?
He was here.
Yeah.
He was with us.
One of my favorites was Immaculate. Immaculate is like the king of the battle scene at the moment, him and Thesaurus. So we met up with those guys. I think he was part of a group called the Sand People at the time. And man, they took us under their wings. We've had Immaculate on tour with us. So we've had him on a track, and that was dope as well.
Good connect after the fact
yeah,
too.
man. Yeah, he's
cool.
taught. We've had him on support with us across America.
And he's real big in the battle scene. Like, anyone that is like into the battle, like Drake would know it.
Yeah. I believe he's the best.
Okay, beautiful, bro.
Check him out.
Now for the reason you're here, obviously, bro. New album.
Yeah.
When you're watching this, it's already out. We're not having it because it's coming out tonight. A couple of hours, logically.
Okay. Midnight, baby.
Let's go. The moon. The light side.
The
Let's
light
go.
side.
This guy right here.
Yeah, man.
Right here, guys.
Let's get it.
Right there.
Yeah.
How you feeling about it coming out, bro? How's the process? Because obviously, again, like I mentioned early on, it's been 4 years since your last, 4 years since your last one. How's it feel to finally get to this moment again?
If I look at it like a meal, if the album is a meal, I feel like this is the most well-balanced meal, you know? There's some albums that have too much party songs and not enough, you know, inspirational stuff, but this just has it all. It's just the perfect blend of songs. And man, when we wrote this and recorded this, I just remember going into the session going, okay, all right, is this still what we love? And do we have that fire and passion for it? Man, when we go into the studio, we turn into two 15-year-olds just in love with words
like
rhyming.
back in the day, yeah.
It's just like nostalgic time travel for us, and we're right back where we started. It's what we love.
It's like a game to us as well, because we're lyricists, right? So wordplay is big for us, like multi-syllable rhyming.
Sure.
So we're both trying to there's a healthy kind of competition to it, but also like we want to see each other do well. So like we'll be coming up with like a whole set of rhymes with like multiple syllables, you know what I'm saying? To get the right ones that work together, that's the art, right? So like, you know, I'll be working on a rhyme, like I got a bunch, and I'll throw one to Macca and he'll go off. It's like a game, you know what I mean? Now he's trying to think of something like the best one he can think of for that part, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's friendly competition between these both, right?
But also like helping each other.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, and then there might be one that I contributed to his verse or vice versa, right? And it's like, we just have fun with it. And also the other thing that kind of binds us is like we're mad into comedy as well. Okay. So like laughter, bro, is key in the studio.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's always jokes. And that's why kind of like he says back to 15-year-olds. It's just like the love of the music. You know what I mean? And that's a beautiful thing. Sports, you know what I mean? You could be a pro athlete for a certain amount of time until your body breaks down on you. With music, there ain't no time limit. You know what I mean?
Look at Pete and Bass.
Yeah.
Look at those two old codgers.
Oh, they're coming out here too. Yeah, that's funny.
Yo, is someone else writing their shit or is it them?
Look, they are, yeah. From what I heard, I don't know it's a talked about fact or not, because I'm not fully tapped into Pete and Bass, but I know what they do. Apparently it's their sons or grandsons.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But
that
they
makes
deliver it so goddamn good.
So good. And
like
apparently their grandsons are coming with them and doing their own shows here. So they're their own rappers
That's
too.
hectic.
But what I want to see, I've never looked it up. How hard do these guys go on stage? Like, are they almost breaking hips?
Sure,
or, you know what I mean?
I'm not sure about that.
Don't throw me off from this album, bro. The album. I was actually going to ask, like, how it differs from, again, back in the day to step into the studio after, how long since you first met? Like, when did you first meet?
Well,
like,
so it's like coming up to 25 years.
25 years of time spent together. Yeah. Have you ever walked in the studio and been like, I can't be fucked working with you today?
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
It's when you make it fun.
Yeah.
You don't think about that.
That's the best.
Because it's just this fucking awesome art that we get to like. It travels through our life and it's this beautiful conduit to be able to plug in your experiences and your story and put it into a creative piece of art that lives forever.
Beautiful
you know
way
what I
to
mean?
put it, bro.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of music. You know what I mean? So, and the thing is, with me and Macca, we built something super special. You know what the scene's like these days, and fans can be real fickle. So you see artists come and go real quick. There's a lot of trends, all that kind of shit. We have built this hardcore following that has stayed with us for 20 plus years, and that is rare. So we know how precious it is what we've created. You know what I mean?
It's bigger than us, baby.
Yeah, you can't let something like that go. There's no way. Even if you felt like
it. But it's such a blessing to have. It's like we still get to fuck around like we're teenagers making music, and we get paid for this, and people. And the best thing is connecting with the fans. So it's like we're still doing these 30 plus date tours, and they're selling out all over the country. It's crazy, man.
Blessed, bro. Yeah. Blessed.
Beyond blessed. So The Moon, The Light Side, last album, The Sun. Is there any relation there? And can you talk through it if there is?
Yeah.
Or are you just keeping to a theme there? Like,
we'll
you
give you a little Easter egg, okay? This is, we're not done.
Ooh.
We're not done with this bad boy, okay? So when
I'm going to guess it.
Yeah,
because I thought about this earlier.
You know what?
Can I say it out loud or not say it?
You can say it.
So you got the light side. Yeah. Everyone talks about the dark side of the moon.
Yeah.
It's actually coming.
Hey.
Take flight exclusive. You know what I'm saying? Can you talk anything about it, or should we just
look? All we can say is something special's coming out this year.
Okay. We went to work on this project. That there is that much to be able to play with.
Yeah. So basically, when we went in the studio, we went ham. Okay. We went ham, and we recorded a lot of tracks. And we were like, we need to make this is like because when we make albums, man, they're like movies.
Yeah.
And we were like, this is too good of a movie not to make it 2 parts.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So like this is like we've split it up in a way that works cohesively, you know what I mean? So this is this is an epic moment because this is the light side, you know what I mean? And we can't wait to share it with the world, but like we've got a big year planned. But
People have to tap in to be ready for the next
gotta
one.
know what's
Is
happening.
what you're saying, bro.
Yes.
All right. A difference between this and your last album, I did notice a lot less features, bro. A lot less features. The Sun had a bunch of features here. This one, very minimal. One that came out last night. I don't know when I put it. It came last
All-star
night.
cast.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All-star cast. Yourselves, 360, Mars Wolf,
Yeah.
and
Benny Morale.
Big dogs.
Why did you choose these guys to be a part of this record? Again, because it's very minimal features, but you brought an all-star cast for this track.
It happened organically, man. Like we hooked up with a dope singer/rapper called Benny Morale. Our producer Cam Bluff, he's a legend, super skilled producer. And we were working with him, and he was like, one day he was like, "Yo, we working with this singer Benny, man. He's dope. We should get him. He lives in Melbourne because we were recording in Melbourne. He was like, we should get him into a session. I think he gel with you guys." And we recorded with a lot of people over the years. There is definitely different vibes in studios. Like sometimes it could work. It's okay. Sometimes you connect. Like
with the actual artist we're talking
instantly.
Yeah, okay.
When Benny came in, we were like immediately connection. It was like the way we all wrote, the bouncing ideas, no egos, like just having fun with it, playing, and we came up with shit really quickly.
Love that.
So this song came out of like a freestyle session that we wrote with him. So basically, he laid down the vocal, Macca put down his verse, and we still had the song. And we had no plans to get Mass Wolf for 360. I happened to be in the Gold Coast, and I'm friends with Mass Wolf, and he was like, "Yo, pop to the studio," and he was like, "Yo, play me some shit." And I played him like 4 tracks, and this was like the second song. He was like, "Stop that, play that again." And he heard Macca's first verse, and then he heard the hook. He was like, "Yo, can I jump on this?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" And he wrote his verse in like 15 minutes.
Lovely.
And then I recorded him, and he said that day, he was like, "Yo, we should send this to 60," because he was working with 60. We obviously go way back with 60.
Of course, yeah.
Reservoir Dogs, and they've toured with us for years.
100%.
Yeah, and we sent it to 60, and he was down with it, and that's how it came about organically.
That's beautiful,
Yeah.
man. I feel like the best records come across organically, right?
Yeah,
I ain't
when
saying I can't say that because there's obviously songs like you send it over to Nas or something like that,
Sure.
and it's iconic. But when it's just happens naturally, how can you not
The cool
love
thing
it?
about that one is like it's those times that you've gone through adversity, and that person you've leaned on or yourself to get you through the drama. The cool thing is hearing all the different perspectives of the MCs on it. You know what I'm saying? Mass Wolf's got his own story. 60, amazing story.
100%.
And it's so dope to see him coming back and doing his thing. That was dope hearing his verse. Me and Macca got our own stories. So that's what makes the song special. It all ties together cohesively. So it was kind of like one of those meant to be songs.
I love that, bro. I love that. Again, you haven't listened yet. Go stream every one of these songs, buy the records, whatever else you got. I know you got hard copies of everything online, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. On the album, obviously a fair few songs on there. Is there a specific song that means that a little bit extra to either of you than the others?
Ooh, that's hard.
Are we allowed to say what songs off the album? Yeah.
It'll be well out. Yeah,
look,
out.
man, with this album, we definitely tried to not ride any trends and just go back to what we loved. So there's an influence of soul in there, and there's a big influence of the music that we grew up on and listened to, hip hop wise. You know, for instance, we've got "Party on the Moon," which is a DJ Premier beat.
Full clip, Gang Starr.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're taking, because in my mind I was like, well, we can't use any of these. These are old hits and everyone knows them. But these young kids don't know.
Facts.
So you've got to put them on. So it was like, let's take a gamble here, right? Because if you want to use someone's song, you would normally just go ask them if you could. But if there's nothing for them to look at or hear, they have no idea what you're going to do with their art. So with us, it was like, okay.
We didn't know DJ Premier.
Yeah, well, let's make this song first and then
to show him the vision
yeah.
and hope to God he likes it. And there's a difference. Like, we're not trying to just take someone else's current song. The idea was this is a classic from the golden era of hip hop that a lot of the youth these days might not be up on. So we want to show them where we came from and what we grew up on. You know what I mean?
I love that, bro.
That was what it was about.
Because you're right. Kids these days aren't going to know.
Yeah,
that's right.
So that's why. And then we shout out Guru and Premier in the track. A bunch of artists that we grew up. It was like a testament to hip hop and what we grew up on. Because the golden era was a special time. You remember it. And it's like, and a lot of kids these days, they don't necessarily know that. So it was important for us. And then, we sent it to him, and it was like that moment of like, damn, because we're such big fans. Is he going to like it? Is he going to like it? And he came back straight away.
What was the response?
In my mind, it's an imaginary response. I kind of lied to myself about it, but I remember in my mind him saying, "Say less, cunt." But I'm pretty sure he didn't.
That wasn't the one.
He came back straight away. He's like,
that wasn't the one.
He's like, yo, this is dope. You can use it, which is a big thing if you think about it. It's like their biggest song. Gang Starr is an iconic group. For him to allow us the privilege and the blessing to use this beat is a big deal. You know what I mean? Get that stamp of approval from Primo.
Love that.
Yeah. But no, mine.
The ultimate?
Is the ultimate.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. And it's a nostalgic track. It brings you back.
Yeah.
And it's verses, because most of the time, we have a hook and a chorus, and there's the topic and the kind of road to what you're going to write about. But back in the days, especially with Flowers on the Pavement, sometimes we just go in and not know what we're going to rhyme about and just go for it. And that was definitely one of those songs.
I said to him before we recorded, I was like, yo, Maga, let's just go long. Because normally, 16s or whatever, I was like, yo, let's do like fucking 40, 42 or whatever.
Whatever you can get out.
Let's go long on this, because we're MCs at the end of the day. Like rapping and skills is like what we love, you know what I mean? And this is like a testament to that. It's like, it's just having fun with it and getting back to the essence. So the ultimate, I would say 100%.
Let's go. Obviously, following this one up, you mentioned it before, 28 date, is it 28?
30 plus now.
30 plus day tour. Extras, come on, let's go.
Yeah,
30 plus day tour. First of all, I'm sure you're excited to do so. Get back out there. But how is a tour life differ for you guys now to, let's even say, back 2010? Because obviously reading the article that you put out the other day, drinking has been gone for a long time. So the party side has definitely stopped. You have grown over time. So how does a tour life in general, a day in a life for you guys differ from back then to now?
Yeah, you got to pick your battles, man. And like as you get older, it's like you're not 18 anymore and just bouncing back from like all-nighters and not sleeping every day, And so when we toured in America on a tour bus, like you out of a 30-day month, you do 28 shows. So it's a back to back.
I wish I could see that happening, but it's impossible.
If you get sick, you're screwed, because there's no time to recover. You got to keep getting up. You know what I mean? I remember being in the bunk bed, like tour managers like waking me up 10 minutes before showtime with the Red Bull, like, let's go. You know what I'm saying?
And
we've definitely learned that that's not what's going to keep this puppy going.
We're trying to be LeBron James up in here,
so
right?
Man. Now we like to get our sleep. I remember before getting on stage, I wanted to like butt heads with people and you're going on stage, let's go. Now I want serenity.
Sanctuary.
I want to be in a rainforest and the door just appears to the stage and then I walk out.
So what you're doing is you're catching your private jet from Byron Bay straight to stage, right?
No. But just the calmness and taking it on as it's not to be played with. This is a natural high that you can't get from anywhere else. So if you're messing around with, including drugs and stuff, it takes away from all that.
It ruins it, because there's no better natural high on the planet than getting up in front of 10,000 people and rocking one of your jams and having them all singing it back to you. That is just like the best ecstasy in the world, and it's natural, right? So it's like you don't want to fuck with that. It's a blessing to have that kind of shit, and also like like I said with the LeBron thing, it's like we see ourselves doing this for a long time. You know what I mean? It's like and so we're seasoned pros at understanding how to do it now. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah. Well, even though you've stopped, I don't know what you do with yourself, drinks and all that.
Pick my battles.
Yeah, you pick That's what I was going to say. Is it still, when you get out there, you're going to feel fucking great. Yeah. But is there still times where you're like, a bunch of drinks would make this even.
Don't get me wrong. I have a few drinks on stage. Yeah. Not every show, but 100%. Like I still enjoy that. But I'm not trying to have all-nighters all the time. Pick my battles. Don't get me wrong. There might be a show here and there. You got all your crew there and everything, and you got something to celebrate. What I like to do is like, if it's worth celebrating, you got to enjoy life as well. But it ain't just celebrating for the point of celebrating,
like we did all for your 20s.
You know what I mean? Like that time has been and gone.
That was wild those days.
Yeah, I want to get up and I want to feel good. You know what I mean? And because we got to get on another plane and we got to go somewhere else. You know what I mean? And you want to be present.
A crazy story that just came to my head. We were in Las Vegas. It was the end of a whole tour. And
He's already laughing. So.
during the tour, someone had handed me a big bag of mushrooms halfway through the tour. And I remember Bliss going, maybe you should give that to the manager. have the manager hold on to that shit. And I'm like, no, I should be right holding on to this shit. And it hit the last show on the tour in Las Vegas. And I just threw a whole bunch of mushrooms in my mouth before going on stage.
Oh, man.
And I'm sure I got my rhymes right, but it was the in-between of songs.
This motherfucker was lying on the stage, like not rapping.
Oh, lying down?
Lying down.
Not during the song.
Yes.
It was in between the songs.
He left me out in the cold for a long time. Yeah.
No. In between the songs, I didn't know what was going on because I don't know what's next. And DJ Zim's gone, it's family time, Macca. And that's when I got to do like a family rant. And I'm like, yeah, family's good, man. Family's great. I couldn't make any of that work.
There were definitely times I had to turn to DJs. I'm like, yo, bro, you're rapping Esso's part. Yeah.
Is he good with that?
Yeah, bro. He knows to sit back.
Great with that.
What's he doing with himself at the moment?
Yeah, he's kicking. He's about to come on tour with us.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So there's no separation at all.
Nah,
ever. Yeah,
bro.
like you're still as tight as ever.
Absolutely.
That's
Always,
the best, bro. I love that, man.
Yeah.
Stories, man. I did see not long ago you in Japan, little snowstorm happening while I don't know if it was so storm, but it was snowing.
That's special.
It was snowing while the fans are out there going crazy. One of my personal favorites is seeing you guys perform upon the fucking Centerpoint Tower, bro.
Yeah.
I don't care what it's called anymore. It's still the Centerpoint Tower to me. Forever will be. Are there any specific standout show moments from over the years? Or it could be good, could be bad.
I'll tell you what, Sound Relief, MCG, it was like after the Black Friday, the huge bushfires.
Yeah.
Michael Kudinski put on these huge 2 events, one in Sydney, one in Melbourne. And we played the Melbourne one. He got all international groups over to play. It was like a massive fundraiser for the bushfires.
I remember it, yeah.
We played MCG, 80,000 people sold out. Halfway through our show, it was raining and the sound cut out on us in the middle of the show. And Michael Kudinski's like, boys, don't you worry, I'm going to fix it. You just keep going. We started a beatbox freestyle with our own voices, getting the entire stadium like clapping. And like one of the mics just came on. It was only one mic, no beats. And we were able to get this incredible stadium all rocking with us to like a beatbox freestyle. That was special.
That is hectic, man. That was a while ago now. But I remember Black Friday, the Black Friday bushfires and all that happening.
Yeah.
So,
2008, I think.
Is that footage on the line somewhere? Because I'm
Yeah.
surely something like that has to be out there.
Man, mine would have to be River Stage. I think it was Circus in the Sky.
Was that the big outdoor tour?
Yeah,
We
kind of
drove
like
the combi on the
amphitheater.
stage.
Yeah.
So we had these blow up rafts.
Yeah.
And we'll jump off the stage over the little pit area onto the crowd onto these boats.
Love that.
Right?
Yeah. Love that.
And then the crowd start
It was like
taking
it
us.
was a race.
The crowd start taking us up the hill. Then I see Bliss turning around and going back down. But I just kept fucking going, and eventually I fell into the sound man's pit area, and now I'm trapped in there.
I need to get back.
And I see the merchandise guy, Tom McDonald, come and grab me and pull me through the crowd to the front. It was like being baptized by the Australian scene. It was a finger up my ass, bourbon poured over here, beer on my hair, scraping my eyes. Eventually made it back to the stage, but that
Memories,
was bonkers, bro.
Memory, you must have done some crazy shit over the
I mean,
years.
driving a combi on a stage, bro, where it's like a Transformer combi. We had to drive it out every night. This thing is like a 1970 thing. I was scared as shit to stall it because I had to get it. I had to get the intro timed exactly right with the screen and everything when we made our entrance. Park it in the exact right spot, and then the roof would pop up, and DJ Ism would have his decks there, and he'd play out of it. That was sick as hell.
That is hectic, bro. And I'm sure like things like that are just things you've been aiming for since you were like young doing this that you just finally get the opportunity to do, right?
Yeah, man.
Another thing I did see pop up in that interview I read the other day was when you played at the war.
Oh,
Afghanistan.
Yeah, that's
bro.
fucking crazy. Is there any behind the scenes, like even little things that happen while you're there?
They didn't think it was real. So the
What?
thing is, well, check it out. So like us to go over to a war zone, it's a lot of security protocols you got to go through because if the enemy finds out like people are coming over, whatever, they might strike to whatever. So the posters for the show in the military base could only go up like a week before, and I don't know who the graphic designer was in the army, but he was terrible, and it looked like a kindergartner had written like Bliss and Esso playing, whatever date at the main stage, whatever. And it looked so bad. People thought it was a Bliss and Esso cover group, right? So we got over there. It was nuts, man. We had to go through all types of training, flying around in Hercules.
It was crazy, mate. It was crazy. I had a cousin who's part of the SAS, so we were taken away during one night off to a very special area. Well, we can't talk about what went down. But it's amazing what goes on
still
over
to
there.
this day, we can't. When does it become declassified and we can talk about it?
Look, there's stories of what's the rose tattoo guy?
Oh,
Angry Anderson. There's stories of him being taken out of that area on a cross.
Love that.
Just absolutely.
They got their own program, man. That's nice, boys. It's crazy.
That's crazy to even be able to experience playing in a something like
Dude, imagine machine guns all piled up in front of the stage.
Put your hands in the air. And the whole front row got their guns up. It was like, okay, put all your weapons down at the front of the stage.
Hands back up.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh, good shit, bro. Yeah. I love that, man. Speaking, while we're on tours real quick, you mentioned it before, you've had so many support acts over the years, bro. You've brought so many people along for the ride. Even this one coming up is Ivan Ooze.
Ivan Ooze.
Last year was Nerve, Melbourne, and I don't know. I saw Nerve in Melbourne. There was someone else, I think. What's it like bringing these guys along? Like, first of all, you obviously staying somewhat tapped into what's going on out here, right? So how is it seeing the youth come along doing these things, like being able to support you like this? And do you have any favorites at the moment or people you look out to?
It's been dope, man.
You know what I mean?
Man, it's amazing. Look, we came from when we watched this scene just grow as a baby.
Correct.
And just to see it explode and have all these different types of varieties of hip hop and cultures involved. It's awesome and it's beautiful to see.
What do you think some of the most interesting changes within the hip hop space are? Doesn't have to be just the music. What that you've seen happen over the last 20, 25 years?
Oh man, it's like the music is a big thing. Like the styles have changed and grown and massively. You know what I mean? And that's so it's just dope to see like groups like out here making it big in the UK and doing European tours, and that's dope as hell. I'll give you one quick story about Ivan. So we had a bunch of people, like you said, on the last tour.
Correct.
Nerve, Melbourne, all dope. Everyone, but there was something about Ivan that his live show is next level. Like that, I've never seen a support act put that much effort into getting the crowd going. And he's like, he really impressed us. And we were like, that's why we were like, this tour, you want to come on the whole thing?
He's doing all 30 plus dates, whatever it is.
Yeah. It doesn't go unnoticed when you rock the shit before us, man.
100%.
Because that was what we had to do back in the day.
I was going to say that one thing I have heard about you guys is how energetic and how known you are for the live performance aspect in general. And look, that's how you're able to do these fucking crazy tours year after year. And again, the outdoor, the circus, all that kind of shit is huge, bro. Not many people have the capabilities to do so, even if offered, right?
Yeah, for
even if
sure.
offered.
Right,
I love that, bro. Where are you up to, bro? Look, you mentioned this before. You've had such longevity in this game, bro. The fact that I'm still able to sit here and talk to you about fucking recording into a boombox that long ago is crazy. That the fact that you're still about to go on a 30-day tour.
Yep.
What do you think it is that has kept you guys around for so long?
The message in the music.
Damn straight.
It's the message. Because look, the thing is, like, obviously rap is very diverse, lots of different topics. The groups that we found have stuck around, and this is in our case, when you give a part of yourself and you resonate with people, that hits them deeply, and it becomes a part of the soundtrack to their lives. So when you see in the meet and greets the tattoos of your lyrics tattooed on them, every lyric has a story about what it meant to them and what maybe a troubling time that it got them through, and that's what's resonated so deeply and kept them around.
Look, I remember we've been. Fans have said some crazy stuff to us over the years, how the music has saved their life, like buying the rope from Bunnings and being ready to do it, and then hearing one of our songs and then it changing their whole mindset. We've had crazy paragraphs, of essays of stuff, but this one guy came up to me at a festival and he was off his tits, but he said it so perfectly. He just went, "So, you say what I think, cunt." And I'm like, bro, that's exactly it. You know what I mean?
The relatability, huh?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like, hip hop has always been a confidence builder for me. And, if there's someone that's going through something and they hear someone that they look up to say exactly what they're going through, the connection is...
And we don't take that for granted either. It's
Hell
just
no.
like, you can't be scared to be vulnerable in songs. And when you're truthful, that's when the shit resonates. Because people can relate to it. I've been through that or whatever, or something similar.
And we've definitely had to push each other to do that.
Sure.
He pushed me like, you're going to have to make a song about the drinking, or
Devil on my shoulder.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Man, that's a perfect answer. That is a perfect answer. All right. Do you see you guys at Pete and Baz age doing this?
That's what I love about music, man. You never know. It's still.
I'm going to be a funny old motherfucker.
Bro, there's no doubt about that.
No one will be writing our rhymes. We'll be writing our own rhymes.
Let's go, bro. All right, bro. Finish up. What else have we got to look forward to? Obviously, everyone tuning in right now, got to go stream, got to go buy the album. Have to.
The Moon, the Light Side.
One, this has come. We already talked about something else that's special coming. But even in your personal lives outside of the music, is there anything else you're looking forward to? The rest of 2025.
Man, to be honest, bro, this tour is going to be huge. That's going to be the next 3 months. And dude, we're very hands-on with hip hop. We're everything you see, the merch, everything. Our hands are across it. So like, we love what we do. You know what I mean? So like, this is our world. You know what I mean? And we touch all these things creatively. So there's a lot of stuff in the pipeline. Yeah. But like this year is going to be really big for us.
Let's go, bro. All right, and lastly, I got to shout out every one of your music videos. Fucking crazy, bro.
Oh hell yeah!
Music videos, you put a lot of work effort into all these things, bro.
That's another thing we get creative with. We fucking produce the things. Yeah.
Even in this day and age where, people are starting to say that music videos don't matter as much because they're short. Nah, bro. Like, the work doesn't go unnoticed in those ones, bro. So
we just took a Melbourne tram to the moon and party on the moon.
Bro, that shit was crazy, bro. That's what I mean. You're still doing it. Like, you're not slowing down on the creativity and
hell yeah.
Appreciate you guys coming through, bro. Good to meet you. Let's go. Hey, it's your boy Wings. Let's take flights. Bliss and Esso. We are.